Hello, my name is Vanessa Matthews, and this is my presentation for my nonprofit management course through LCSC. And we are going to be talking about the service learning project that I did for the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene. So let's go ahead and get into it. Is a music conservatory. A music conservatory is a music school, a place for training future musicians. There is an organizational program for students to learn and monitor their growth, which usually sets the conservatory apart from other music schools. Accreditation for college entrance applications and other higher level programs are a great benefit for the student musician. A unique feature of a conservatory is the collaboration with other music programs, teachers, and students. The collaboration brings more growth and training to developing students than lessons could. And this is really wonderful. There are three music conservatories within the Inland Northwest. We have a Spokane Music Conservatory, a Sandpoint Music Conservatory, and now the Coeur d'Alene Music Conservatory. And they have been such a great blessing to the community. And as it was stated in this is just lifted right off their website, is that this is what they do. They're a music school, and as part of being a music school, they do offer a very rigorous music program that's nationally accredited. It's all the schools across the nation know about this program, and they want people that have been taught and trained in these ways. So that this is a great additive, and you can get your college tuition paid for free. So it's really good. So the music the mission statement of this music conservatory is to nurture the pursuit of musical excellence through accessible instruction and collaborative partnerships and performances. And they do this very, very well. As I told you, there are three different music conservatories in the Inland Northwest, and they even collaborate more even without outside of those three music conservatories. Um, and that leads us to where are they? What is it? Where is this wonderful music conservatory that Vanessa's talking about? So the music conservatory's building is housed out of the Hamilton House, and the Hamilton House was saved it from being demolished by Kootenai County in a grassroots effort from the community. The Hamilton House was once the home to Coeur d'Alene's second mayor and was once a hub for professional musicians throughout the early 19th century. And this house is absolutely gorgeous. It is historical. It's from the early 1900s. And one of the things that happened was it was going to be demolished, as I stated, and there was a grassroots movement. And I learned this from one of the board members because she lives in the neighborhood where this house is that when the vote came up with the county commissioners whether or not to save the house or demolish the house, it was really funny because one county commissioner was on board with saving the house and was totally bought in. Another county commissioner was like, "No, I don't want to save the house. We need to just demolish it, and build our office buildings." And the third county commissioner was kind of on the fence. So as the vote went forward, our board members showed up to the vote to see how it would go, and the vote turned out to be the guy that was for her, but the guy that was against her flipped his vote, and the guy that was kind of in the middle went against them. And so she said it was the most craziest thing she's ever experienced in her life to see, like, what just happened here. We just saved the house, and not only did they save the house, the county commissioner that was against her the whole time came up to her and was like, "Please stop calling my office." So that is a lesson for all of us that community and grassroots efforts matter in the savings of our historical buildings and preservation. And not only that, a little bit of persistence goes a long way. And she did stop calling his office. So what do we offer at the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene? We do group lessons, piano, guitar, music theory, conducting, composition, youth choir. It's all there. Private lessons. I mean, this is probably a short list, and I would imagine that they're probably going to even expand this next year. Piano, voice, viola, violin, French horn, They also provide concerts and events in the community. I had the opportunity to help with Handel's Messiah around Christmas time, Songful Journey, Latin American piano, American Inspiration, and that was a clarinet group. And then an event that they're getting ready to do is a Mother's Day brunch, and that is absolutely lovely. So there are tons of things that they are always doing. They do a lunch and learn, which is like you come and they have a presenter, either a historian or somebody musical, come present. A lot of the private schools and homeschools take advantage of that for their children's education. And I think that's just a wonderful thing. So uh, let's go to the next slide. Let's meet the team. So who do we have at the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene? We have our executive director, Cynthia Newkirk, our artistic director, Kent Kimball, and our founder, Julianne Dance. And Cynthia is wonderful. I have learned so much from her. She is the one that I've worked the most closely with as I've been kind of putting in volunteer hours at the conservatory. And I really appreciate her insight and her knowledge. And then Kent's wonderful. He has over 40 years of like what basically life in the arts, like a professional life in the arts. And you really don't get to meet these people who kind of have a professional life in the arts often. Because he's done everything. He's been an actor, he's conducted, he's done musicals, he that's why he's the artistic director. He knows how to play every instrument under the sun and run anything under the sun. And so he loves what he does. His main job is concerts and the music instructors, making sure that they're doing what they need to do for the children that we serve at the music conservatory. And I also just kind of wanted to give a little shout out to Julianne Dance. She was there to save the building, and she had a dream of a music school in Coeur d'Alene. And so that's just amazing. Like sometimes, it's like you got to remember the people that kind of had that spark of idea, and it's like, hey, like let's get a music school going. So, what did I do for the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene? Okay, so for my service learning project, I did take on a good chunk of administrative duties. I created a master Google Calendar, taking board minutes and other organizational tasks. I was very involved in that, and anything Cynthia kind of needed for that. I helped with concerts and events. I was there to help execute the concerts and events, and they were, and like I said, they were wonderful. My favorite concert event was a lunch and learn that we did with an Air Force clarinet band. I learned so much about the Air Force, how the Air Force military works. You actually don't even need to be, you go to school first and literally get your master's degree in music, and then you apply to be in these military bands. And that's how they do it. It is an arm of the it's an arm it's like a public marketing arm of the military to these military bands that go out and do performances, and they go overseas, and it's just kind of part of what they do. So I found out so much about like how military bands functions and their schedules, and kind of what they do and how much work it actually takes to be in a military band. You got to be really good to get into the US military, any of the branches military bands. um and then pretty soon, coming weekend, actually, I'm going to be helping with the Mother's Day brunch and tea. It is their biggest fundraiser. They do hold it at the conservatory. People love just that intimate setting of being able to bring their mom to brunch. And right now I'm on the silent auction team, so I'm trying to coordinate and gather silent auction items. And that's been an interesting endeavor of like, okay, you got to go around and make the phone calls, or in my case, I just went and took letters that Cynthia had some letters already typed up, like, hey, we're a 501c3, please donate to us, da da da. And I went around and dropped them off. And there's a lot of face time that you have to put into kind of making your way in the community. They got to see your face. You're in their lobby, I like to call it. You're in their lobby, and they got to see your face. So I did a lot of that. I did get one item. Somebody gave me one item right off the bat, and I was like, oh, good. But now I need to go back around and see if anybody actually wants to donate. You do the first pass. Okay, now you get to do a second pass. And be like, okay, then now we got what we got. And that's this weekend. I'm really excited about that. So anyway, um, the board. So I just wanted to mention the board a little bit as part of my presentation, because it was such a big part of kind of my understanding of how a nonprofit works. Because there's all the little administrative tasks, there's the events, there's all of that stuff. And honestly, I kind of know about those kind of I know a little bit more about that side of things than I did about the board, like exactly what a board did. And the board, I had the opportunity to go to two board meetings, and that was a wonderful thing. And as of right now, I got the two board meetings I went to, still involve the old board president, and he has since stepped off because he's moving, and they need a president and a secretary. So they are in search of a president and a secretary to be on the board. And your organization rises and falls by this board. They do the budgets. You need somebody who's very connected in the community to kind of be your rallying people. And I learned a lot from Cynthia, from how, like, okay, a board's supposed to function like this. We brought on somebody to be the fundraising chair of our board, because we need to raise funds. So that was a big takeaway from me. For me, like the big, like if I were to pick one big thing, it would be your organization rises and falls by that board. So I'm hoping we find a new board president soon, and that they're a good fit. They love music, they love kids, and they love what we do. So yeah. Okay. Final wrap up takeaways. Um, Organize a good board. I have a whole slide dedicated to that. Politics are everywhere. And this was something that I kind of didn't expect, but then once I got into the weeds, I was like, oh, I get why. And for many nonprofits, they're having to rethink, okay, how are we going to get funded this year? Because the Trump administration has put freezes on funds while they're restructuring everything. So some of that money might be dried up for a little while, or tied up in the bureaucracy of whatever they're doing. So in our last board meeting that I went to, the current president, and yet again, he was very connected, and this is what he said. He's like, you know what? Probably the federal grants will dry up, and that means that we just have to be really good about looking for good state grants and making sure our budgets are tight, and not overspending on items that we don't need to overspend on. And so that's fair. That's fair. And so um, I really appreciated his insight, but like the politics are everywhere thing, like I said, I didn't expect it in a music school, but then it made sense. So I was like, oh, like you can't really get away with that if half of your program funding is coming from the government, or you're getting a grant that funds a good chunk of the school. So anyway, that was kind of how I thought about it. And then thinking creatively about your building to kind of go with the fundraising money portions and your grant money. The Music Conservatory Coeur d'Alene rents out their building for other events. For like there was somebody who wanted to do a singles event around Valentine's Day, and they hosted it out of the Music Conservatory. Cynthia's wanting to have people book for weddings, like small weddings or smaller events. Like the Hamilton House is big enough to host about probably 50 people in the house. Like 50 people is kind of top. So if you wanted a small gathering, like a small wedding, or a small, like a bigger family gathering that you couldn't host at your own house, but wanted something, you could do it there. So and that brings in income for the whole thing. So that's a really great way to go about that. So anyway, to wrap it up, I've really enjoyed my time at the Music Conservatory of Coeur d'Alene, and I learned so much from Cynthia and from Kent and their wonderful board. And I just want to end with a quote from Robin Williams. You know what music is? God's little reminder that there is something else besides us in this universe. Harmonic connection between all living beings, everywhere, even in the stars. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I hope you have a great week.